Hey there, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. Before the video starts, I want to let you know that if you like it, to leave a like and a comment down below. And while you're at it, subscribe to the channel and click the little bell icon to be up to date with my latest content, as well as joining the Wolfification Squad. Starve a Curse. Feed the Soul. Chapter 8.
Demanding.
In the solemn, stark basement, neither woman nor Wendigo dare move a millimeter of tense tendons. Still haunched up tightly and covering her head, Summer gradually opened her sights to find many scraps of the destroyed bucket around her badly scuffed, stretched denims. The surprisingly raw power driven by the Wendigo's lean hindquarters had impacted the pail with an almost lethal blow. For if she had not ducked, the game of hot potato would have evolved into a literal idiom of kick the bucket. Summer's thorax convulsed, a swallow, and hissed, a jarred breath between her teeth. Son of a bitch, he could've... Yeah, and he almost did. So much for your safe spot being totally safe, Summer, riposted her captious of a conscience. Shakily, the woman put away her earplugs. The only deciphering sounds were the rapid inhalations of the Wendigo, the faint bumping of the storm cellar doors from the snowstorm, and the jiggling of the doorknob from upstairs. Summer finally moved with a jerk of her head. Wait, what? She sighed irately. How in the hell did Nosy Posy get downstairs? She scolded herself for not properly closing the master bedroom's doors, though Summer swore to God Almighty himself that she did so. She'll definitely make sure the latches are secure when she gets up there. Remaining low to the floor, Summer narrowed accusing eyes at Ben for his guileful attempt to decapitate her with round, hard-ass plastic. However, her icy glare began to fall, because the beast was just as compactly huddled up as she was. His hands and chest were pressed rapidly on the concrete, while screwed eyelids remained impenetrable creased slits. The woman's animosity faded from viewing the wretched Wendigo. Truly, she could have been killed. But her first thoughts behind the thrusting of the bucket was completely mistaken. It was not an action of deception, rather a reaction out of fear. A subdued whine partially escaped a clenched, trembling muzzle. Summer bit her bottom lip from aching commiseration. Ben? With a startled yelp, the beast's bony back flinched harshly as her voice whiplashed him, and the woman shook her head. His distress was too damn real to be another ploy. Although the scene was indeed piteous, it was also very confusing. Summer perceived around herself and back at her cowering cursed beloved. This caused a brief reminiscence of her sister's old storybook about the farm animals, when Foxy Loxy believed in his own propaganda and was waiting for a piece of the broken sky to come crashing down through the ceiling to smite him with one strike. As Summer's amber orbs flitted widely at nothing in particular, she mulled over on the Wendigo's atypical behavior. And then, the realization came flooding in like a tidal wave wiping out the shoreline. Ben had gorged on the human flesh. This was probably when the stupid fucking curse forced his body to involuntarily grow, expanding his sated stomach to stretch his bones, muscles, and everything else, which she'd previously thought really must have hurt like hell. However, what Ben had eaten wasn't human, and it wasn't the carcass of an animal that he slaughtered only to retch up. After those unsettling moments of nervous knot, Summer gingerly arose until she was upright and kneeling in the sitting position. She continued to regard Ben with cautious curiosity, wishing she knew exactly what was going on in his corrupted, cryptic mind.
Precariously, the creature blinked its adjusting red irises as it returned to its haunches, clasping its heaving chest from phantom pain. Dilated pupils darted in all directions in search of the undetectable force to come and attack it from the inside out. The creature waited with quickened, hot breath, and yet nothing was coming or ensuing. No searing strikes, no pulling pangs. The only thing the beast felt was fullness. Soothing, satisfying fullness which had settled down the gurgled growls of hunger within it. While it slowed its labored movements, with talons tracing down its engorged stomach, the calming creature craned its furred neck until its snout pointed toward the small, overhead, unmoving sun, and slackening its muzzle jaw, and slid down relaxed eyelids, the beast drawn out a gruff sigh of contentment. The spindling fingers of the beast squeezed around the surface of its bulging belly, eliciting another resonant respire. The cradled heaviness was utmost enrapturing for the deprived creature. Notwithstanding being bound by the hard, shiny vines coiled around its limbs and neck, the creature was adapting to the warmth of the strange cave and relished glutting on the succulent pieces of the precise prey that did not hurt it. Right now, freedom was not an option, nor a concern. But for the time being, it yearned for the warm, good meat. That feed was gratifying and agreeable. The good meat was good, so very good. The tongue of the beast snaked along its double row of pointy incisors in gluttonous expectation. It still craved to eat. It wanted to eat. It wanted more.
Broken out of her train of thoughts, the woman shook in place. She rubbed a bare ear to make certain she did not unknowingly put in her earplugs. But yes, she heard the beast drawl in Ben's voice. Dissimilar from his past wording, it was rough and heavy, with concealed contempt from the beast he was now. Ben had undeniably spoken. But unlike the preceding hoodwinks, this wasn't mimicry. And of course, a Wendigo would quickly catch on and cognize a definition related to veracity. Still sitting on bended knees, the woman gulped a lungful of air. What? The Wendigo lowered his huge head and matched the unwavering stare of his resolute prey. That demand was more enunciated, but tapered off with an effervescing growl. Sucking in pale lips, Summer scanned both the battered bucket and the one in utter shambles, while recalling the sheer amount of food they once carried. Ben, how can... The worried woman's enquiry was overpowered by the heavy exhalations of the beast, his overlong muzzle raised with dripping ichor as he crouched onto his hands and hooves with hackled neck fur that was comparable to an enraged black bear. With a cringe and a much faster pulse rate, Summer regretted not wearing her earbuds and for previously repeating that word. Jesus Christ, Ben, you can't still be hungry. You ate the weight contents of a 200-and-something-pound man. Posturing himself into a stalk stance, Ben slammed his large fists onto the floor, one after the other, with manacled wrists clanking under each outburst. When the resolute prey didn't move her legs, he bounded his upper torso onto the concrete. The beast's bulbous belly and the minimal items in the cellar wobbled and quavered from the avarice ultimatum. "Ah!" shouted the intimidated woman as she lumbered backwards on her palms and further away from the raucous howls and gashing teeth of the monstrosity in her neurotic wake. Relieved that the chains kept the consuming crazed captive at bay, Summer unsteadily got to her slippers and shambled along the left side of the wall to the wide storage freezer, almost throwing herself over the large unit. Reaching behind it, she yanked one of the 3 5-gallon pails free. Fighting against instability and the reeking roars erupting from the stipulating beast, with squinting, irritated vision, Summer panted amid coughs as she flashed open the freezer and proceeded to pull out as much of the frozen meat she could condense into the new red bucket. Her kitchen's refrigerator was fresh out of food for Ben, but thankfully, the freezer was overstocked, in case he didn't like what she had prepared. And apparently, that was not an issue in the slightest. The Wendigo scowled irascibly at the woman, hastily working her arms to move as fast as possible. With all the frigid food sealed in plastic, he couldn't discern what his quarry was doing, but whatever it was, it certainly had to involve the good flesh. Fuck. All right, Ben, all right! The yowling order was pushing her to just give the beast the rock-solid edibles right then and there. However, she knew that broken fangs would piss him off even more, especially after his palate was conditioned to cooked, hearty meals. Once the bucket was packed with as much as it could hold, with heaving gasps and groans, the woman made her way to the wooden flight of stairs. Her damp eyebrows sprung up from her incredulous gawking at the exit's knob, still jiggling and jangling underneath the cacophony of the craving cryptid. "Oh, you've got to be shitting me." Summer made a metaphorical note to double-check on stashing her crazy-ass cat in the bedroom before more lingering hours of another vegan culinary marathon goes underway. Painfully and slowly, the woman clambered upstairs with straining arms holding the protein-packed bucket. She groaned through gritted gaped teeth, knowing her muscles would have to withstand a round trip of trialing their endurance. Ignoring her throbbing ears and ultimately at the near top of the staircase, the exiting woman prodded her overly inquisitive feline out of harm's way and silently slammed the acoustic-proof door, deadening out the resounding roars of the reiterated demand.